Sorry, I have something in my throat. Okay, so that is our last session. And so you have the last chance, eventually, to ask something. So if there is some questions that you have, not that I am inviting you to create some question, but if you have some question that you want to be eventually clarified, it's better you ask.
Please say something about immortal Vajra life.
About how we do it, or the
No,
title?
what is the real meaning of this? Because
Immortal Vajra life is that is immortal. Okay. Let's quote directly from the source. The attainment of immortal Vajra life, shortly, immortal Vajra life. This is the last one and most important of this series of Tsalung teachings. It is the essence of all this series of methods. It is principally related to breathing, and it is a practice for obtaining long life. In the Lonsel text, it says, page 336. In the Lonsel text, it says that to attain the realization of immortality, first we transform ourselves into a manifestation of the Dakini Samwa Yeshe. In the center of this manifestation, there is a couple of light. Guru Pema Tradiziel and Yabyun Union manifest inside the Kapala. So how we visualize. So here you have your question. It is the essence of all this series of methods. It is principally related to breathing, and it is a practice for attaining long life. In the Lonsal text, it says to obtain the realization of immortality. Immortal Vajra life, it means immortality. It means that, I suppose, there is another way of saying something of the body of light. But is very important to this part, and it is also later. That's why I am so keen in teaching this, and also when there is a Mandarava retreat to practice in the morning, every morning, because there is Rinpoche saying is very suited for daily practice, and then when you are familiar with this method, all of your Tsalung practices will go perfectly. In particular, you will not create problems for yourself by damaging your solar and lunar energy. Instead, you will increase their function perfectly. This is an important point. So that's why I'm so keen in proposing people that we practice this, because it is the last one that is actually being explained in the book, but in reality is very important. If it's allowing us to practice better, have more result to all the others, and Rinpoche said, it's also the advice, it is very good for a daily practice. I thought that is no-brainer, how they say, no? To try to learn it well so people eventually can apply. More questions? Okay.
how to organize sessions during the day?
But depends. In general, sotique is better to do in the morning. I personally, I like to do sotique and the immortal Vajra life together because they have a similar aspect. In the sotique, you inhale the blue essence, and as also Rinpoche is saying, in the immortal Vajra life, we inhale the essence of the element, so it's like light, but sometimes it's saying, no, it's similar to the sotique. For example, because it's saying is very useful to have it is a daily practice. In this way, is more easy. But in general, Tsalungs are, if I understand well, the best moment is in the afternoon to practice. There is also the sotique we can practice in the evening. For example, when we do the retreat on Mandarava, when there was Rinpoche, if we took the Cholen pills only in the morning, there was the advice to, in the evening, first of all, don't eat before 7, in that relative to the special hours, but don't eat after early evening. And even if we eat very little. And if we took 2 Cholen pills, can also skip, for example. Is also then the way I understand it relative to everybody condition. Some famous teacher, they spend a lot of time just with Cholen pills and then only with the Dharmakaya Cholen, that is the sotique. So it all depends on capacity and circumstances. There is not a very fixed rule that I understand. Also, if you do a personal retreat, how many tunes? Some people do 3 tunes, some 5 tunes. Just a little anecdote. I did a little retreat in Sopema, up before. Now there is the bus going up, there is the road, there is everything. They cut through a lot. But when we was there was nothing. You have to walk up for, almost 2 hours to go up. And I end up doing a little retreat in a little cave, in a little on the external part, a little up. And I enter, and there was a box, a wooden box, the famous wooden box, where you are not supposed to sleep. I look at the box, and I thought, not sure. I'm sorry. So there was this side that was moving, so I moved it a little, and so at least I was doing like this. For example, was not very long, I don't know, 10 days, I don't remember. But there are people who sit in that box and practice all the time. So it's all relative. But since we receive teaching also to integrate in normal life, it's simply media matter. If you wake up in the morning before starting your day, possibly not too late, it's not too difficult to dedicate even only 15, 20 minutes to some practice, no? And for people who like the practice of Mandarava, you can do a very short, super essential practice doing some sotique, take the Cholen or not take the Cholen, and it's possible to integrate in this way. we have to have the intention and apply this intention. Not start to think, not today, maybe tomorrow. Not today, maybe tomorrow. In this case, if you feel we don't have enough determination, then we should decide to take by ourselves some kind of rule. No, every morning I wake up and I do it. Apparently also this is difficult to do. We prefer to wake up, immediately look at the telephone and see what is happening or a deal like that. I don't know. Formal practices are not, in the ultimate level, I understand, they are not necessarily necessary. But we are talking of people who have already capacity of integration. If you have that capacity, we can probably, my understanding, can forget about practice, because every interdependence that we have with what happens in life, we can apply the practice in this way. But if I think that Rinpoche himself, every morning, he was waking up, sitting in bed, and doing his practice, Rinpoche. So if Rinpoche was doing his practice every day, we decide that we don't need it, it looks strange, or not? It's not I want to be judgmental, but looks strange. No? Any other question?
Not on the topic of Tsalungs. Are there any instructions that the central channel has its own sound in the potentiality of essence, nature, and energy, sound, lights, and rays?
I don't know. The sound of the central channel depends also, because there is external sound, internal sound, and secret sound. So what kind of sounds? I cannot answer that. I don't have that knowledge. I know that in Rinpoche's teaching was always talking about external sound, internal sound, secret sound, but I'm not sure that I necessarily think what we hear with our ears. Now I don't want to go going into this dimension of sound, because you have Yeshena Mankai that is supreme expert on this, and so honestly my understanding is really limited.
Okay. Can we do immortal Vajra life in the evening?
Of course, yes.
And can we do the long Mandarava practice in the evening without Sotiko?
We can, the point is there is an ideal point in time. The ideal point in time is when things are growing. So that's why we do, I already said, at Losar. Because it's the beginning of the year, it's the beginning, we start spring, and things are growing. And so you want to grow life, no? So that's why the early morning in the day, just before dawn, because the day is growing. So in the morning is better, early in the morning is better. But then, if this is not possible, any moment is better than never. That is my understanding. If one does a intense retreat of Mandarava, it's not that his only practice is in the morning very early and then basta. Of course not. You practice all day. But the best is when things are growing.
aclaración para vos, Fabio. Recién dijiste don't eat before 7. Yo no sé si quisiste decir don't eat after 7, porque acá hay una pregunta que dice don't eat before 7 evening during Chilean retreat. It means just one meal a day and in the evening?
No, not necessarily. For example, when we did retreat, there was sometimes to eat very lightly, but that is also now, honestly, also famous modern science is saying that it's so useful to not eat too late and to leave some space between. Is something that is also proven is good for your health. For you, if you go home at 11 o'clock with a belly like this, you are not helping your digestion. So it's not. But if we were taking only one Chilean, the advice was to eat before 7, not late, something light, sometimes a little yogurt or something very, very light. That was, and if you took 2 Chilean pills, you could also skip that, for example, and eat only 1 meal a day. Something like that. There is some general guideline that you apply according to your circumstances, how you feel. Finito. Okay. So, I would then somebody has some kind of doubt about something that we did and would like to focus a little again on that. If there is somebody with this kind of doubt, we can try to do what they are suggesting. Otherwise, I will go through everything that we did. Maybe focusing a little more, because Sotik and Immortal Vajra Life we did already. And I think there is not much doubt how to do it. About our own individual capacity and how we feel about our kumbhaka and so on. This one I cannot have a say in that. More than trying to explain what I think is helpful or harmful, I cannot enter like a phantom, occupy your body, and hopefully I can do it better than you and then do it. This is not, not possible. Possess other people, I don't even think I would like to possess. And, but how to be done, if it is clear, also we have the little booklet and everything, I suppose that people, my idea was that people who want to practice, hopefully they don't have much doubts about how to do, because again, in my experience, personal and in teaching, doubt is the perfect excuse for not doing it. Sometimes we already don't have very much enthusiasm in doing it. But if you have the excuse that you are not sure, oh, it's so sweet. Oh, it's just a candy. It's the perfect. I would like to do it, but I'm not sure. If I do it wrong, better I don't do it. And the small devil that doesn't want to do anything is so happy. So, unfortunately, to overcome doubts, especially practical doubts, the only cure is to do it. Because we cannot have the perfect thing in our mind and immediately transfer it in the body, because it's different. Something we think and the body might not be able to do. You have to train the body, the voice and mind. We cannot stay with one. That's why every time there is the explanation of the Tsalung, what happens with the body, what happens with the breathing, and what happens with the mind. Always. There is, no? I read many times, no? The body, we do that. With the voice, you do that. With the mind, you do that. So our three fundamental things, they should work together. Okay, so then we go through what we already did. So we review a little bit in theory first. Okay, the sotique. I use the people who are here like advisors. I was using another term, but advisors. So, the sotique. First of all, sotique or Tsalung, you do always inside, so to speak, the practice of Mandarava. As I already said, there are two moments where it's better not to, definitely. Midday and midnight. Not after eating. If eat a little and wait enough a little, maybe it's okay. But if you normal life and you eat a lot, you have to leave time. Otherwise, for example, this morning, because I had a little bit thing, so I ate maybe 1.5 hours from coming, and I already was feeling something that was not so right. Maybe it's my limitation, but so that's why early in the morning is perfect. For sotique and Mortavazalai, for example. Early morning before breakfast and everything is perfect. And the Tsalung you can practice later. Also about the perfect time, I know I've seen a little bit of different things. Some around sunset, just before sunset, there is also sometimes slightly different indication. So what is certain is around midday, around midnight is not a good time. The rest, away from food, and if one does a personal retreat, also that is relative. Can be 2 or 3 tunes, can be 4 tunes, can be 5 tunes. Can concentrate mostly on the Tsalung or some other practices. For example, at a certain point, especially also in the beginning when I first met Rinpoche, we were doing a lot of chöd in the evening. The first practice I ever did when I met Rinpoche was chöd, with a kind of little light and the text, because I didn't know anything, and was afraid, because was Prata, we were in the forest, in the space. So any creak or signal, something is coming. For example, you see, but the point is, if we do not start, even the longest famous thing, even the longest trip starts with the first step. If you don't do this first step, even if it's like this, a little difficult, then the journey is not starting. So we cannot pretend to do the first step that is perfect. Just do it. And with experience, you can discover what can be changed, how should be changed. You dedicate, you study a little, you grow in confidence, and then slowly, you get things that you feel comfortable with. But if there is not this input to start, the journey is already finished. If you wait to receive have a dream, like I had this kind of dream about yantra. I had, maybe now I can have a nice dream with Vairocana that comes and he says, oh, my disciple, something like this. Oh, you are here, so in the dreams, time, no, is relative. So now I will teach you all the 108 movement of Yantra Yoga perfectly, so I will practice in the dream, I do everything perfect, then I wake up, and I know how to do everything. It never happened. So I had to try to understand doing it on earth. It took a little time. I hope that I still understand it pretty well. So not that I want to preach, Don Fabio, but honestly, it's like this. Are very simple things that we know, but we try to not want it to know. We know, but shut up. This voice, shut up. I have other things to do. But we don't spend much time in this dimension. It's still relative. You will never know when we go. So the time we have is precious. We should try to use it for the practice. It's the truth. Maybe sometimes you don't want to hear or want to think, but it's true. Really, sometimes I was with Rinpoche, eating it in the evening, and I would say, I really cannot eat this thing. Maybe I keep it for tomorrow. Almost every time he was answering, what assurance you have that tomorrow morning you will be alive? How can be sure that you will be alive? So we think, no, I will do it later. No, maybe when I have, maybe, and years pass, and life pass. It's like this. Any other question after this terrifying thing? Okay, so the sotik. To recall again. We, Guru Yoga, Manifest Mandarava, with the Bodhicitta, and the three sacred, the first three sacred, because the last one is dedication of merit, no? And the Guru Yoga is done with Mandarava, and then we recite the mantras. For example, recite the mantras. We can also recite very, very short if we don't have some times, for example. And then we do the sotik, practice the sotik. We can do in 15 minutes, really. Also, if really you don't have time, as already said, I think it is possible, just the last phase, without going through the first two steps, because that is basically the most important phase, no? We directly... For example, in the sotik, the Shriyam Bam, that is, according to Rinpoche's advice, is more for personal retreat. That this time we didn't teach, it was shorter, but the other years we did, and probably next year, if there is Spirited or Mandarava and so on, will be also done this sotik or Shriyam Bam. The last phase, even there, is just like the last phase of the normal sotik that we apply, just integrating in the Blua. And there is a Tsalung here the food of contemplation. Food of contemplation. Let me see where it is. There is not really very much necessity of, I will read it, and then you can see. Yoga, a tomb of clothes, no, that is complicated. The food of contemplation. Now we have another method. The previous one is the tomb of clothes. This one is of food. The food, page 330. The food of contemplation means that we do not need much material food. We take the essence of the element like light. We cannot see or touch light, but it is easy to integrate it with the air element. We live by breathing. Breathing is life. That is why we integrate the essence of the elements with our breath. Then we can have the realization of not depending on food. Milarepa was doing anche the tummo and everything. The food of contemplation means that we do not need much material food. We take the essence of the element like light. We cannot see or touch light, but it is easy to integrate it with the air element. We live by breathing. Breathing is life. That is why we integrate the essence of the elements with our breath. Then we can have the realization of not depending on food. Of course, the main practice for this is the sotik, the first one explained. This is the most important practice. Here it gives a very essential short version. We do not do this practice in the afternoon or the evening. If we can choose, we always do it in the morning time. In general, it is always better to do long life practice in the morning. In the afternoon, it is good to do practice as a wrathful manifestation of guardians. We start with purification breathing. In the space in front of us, everything dissolves in light. Our dualistic vision is karmic vision. But even though it is produced by our karma, its essence is the 5 elements. When the elements enters into their essence, they become 5 lights. Also, when the 5 lights enter the real nature, it is blue color, just like Samanta Bhadra. That represents a state of emptiness. We integrate that with our breathing and inhale it. This essence of the elements enters our physical body like blue light. And it is just if our body is filled with nectar. We feel that in our condition physically. We inhale the essence as pushed down so that our karmic breath in the solar and lunar channels enter the central channel. When we are pushed down, we keep it there. That means we are not open now, and our karmic breath is inside. At the same time, we pull up, and then we are closed with these 2 aspects. This is called kumbhaka. There are different practices involved with kumbhaka. Sometimes we need to pull up to different chakras. In that case, we need to pull up more strongly. But you just to hold kumbhaka, you do not need to pull up strongly. Of course, you do not stay open and remain indifferent either. Otherwise, you are no longer in kumbhaka. Developing this practice, we can gradually become independent of ordinary food. When we eat less and less, this is called chulen. When we do chulen with pills, it is Nirmanakaya style. Sometimes when we use only empowered pills and do not use ordinary food, it's called Sambhogakaya style. and when we do not even use pills, when they only take a few drops of water empowered with mantra, but Dharmakaya Cholen is only breathing. Actually, many years ago, Rinpoche was teaching a Cholen, and that was done with a little honey and some calcites. That is a very soft mineral, for example. Only that. We did a few days of this Cholen, more Sambhogakaya style, if I remember correctly. How can we live only by breathing? Ordinary people could not live that. But if you succeed in doing this practice, it is possible. For example, when we do the Tummo practice, if we have realized the heat, we can stay on a snow mountain without clothes. Of course, it is also possible to become independent of material food. It is not some kind of impossible fantasy. This kind of possibility and realization exists. Through this practice, our clarity and different kind of experiences of the practices also develop more and more, and one becomes more and more independent of the physical level. In the biography of Nyalapema Dundul, he said that he did Dharmakaya Cholen for many months before the manifestation of rainbow body. So it is possible, and it is also a deep and important method of practice. Any question after that? Oh, the question man disappeared. No? Okay, so we look at a little structure of the sotik. If you have some other request, please ask. Otherwise, I go through a bird's view of what we did. So, the sotik inside the practice of Mandarava can be super essential, can be medium, can be long. You do the practice that you like. Some people like to do more kind of ritual things, and then they do ritual things. It's not absolutely a problem. Also depends the time you have, if you are on retreat, if you are not in retreat, and so on. For example, if you are in a personal retreat, maybe you also want to recite a lot of mantras, for example, no? Okay, so after we have Aryan dimension of Mandarava, then we do the exhalation yantra yoga style. Then we sounding A manifest Mandarava, refresh the presence of Mandarava with the blue A, with all spreading, all light of, in blue light of melting blue, essence of all the elements, and all the dimensions are filled with this light without boundaries, without direction, all directions, not only in front, all directions. So somehow we are already emptiness in space, and sometimes we are in this dimension. So there is nothing really solid in our perception. Of course, our body is solid, we feel it, but with our visualization, we manifest clarity in emptiness. So, in this, then we sound the second A with the same visualization, and when we come back from on the quick side with nostrils and mouth, and we direct down the inhale essence, directing it to the central channel without pulling up. This is not kumbhaka. This is, if you do the three-stage way, is this one. Then you can repeat as much as you want. We stay, then if we want to remain a moment in the experience, of course we can. If you want to keep going, you keep going. And then we change air and can repeat how many times you want, because the 3 times that we do, the other day we did 5, is just to practice together. But if you are alone in your retreat, you can do as many times as you want. There is not a specific number. And then you move to the second stage, that is the same thing, but now when you direct down, you pull up, concentrating on the navel chakra, and that is the difference. There is no particular visualization to do, it's just your presence is there, because there is also this soft volume. And then the third time, we do the same, but this time we pull up strongly, stronger, and integrating in the blue R. Sometimes also Nina was teaching in this moment as it is in the explain that the last phase of the Sri Bam Sotik, that become basically we become all filled with the blue light. Sometimes Nina was also teaching in this way, not only the A, integrating the A, but then we are like this that I already read. We become a blue space Mandarava, basically. Okay. There is a question.
What Fabio read now from the big book was the same as the pranayama of Sotik from page 24 of the booklet?
No. No, the page 24 of the booklet is the last written explanation of the Sotik written by Rinpoche. There are many recordings, many things, and because Rinpoche has been since he went to Maratika, and then there, he didn't teach Mandarava. He received the teaching of Mandarava, but there, Rinpoche taught Amitayus practice, long life Amitayus. But then came back to Italy and did the first retreat, I think was in Merger, down with the 10, this, and the first retreat where he taught Mandarava practice. But during that, he received the long practice and also the short practice, if I remember well. And all the aspect of Mungajelmo, the manifestation of Ekajati. And no, it's not the same. It's the food of contemplation. I don't think there is in the small thing that you prepare Sebastian, because the tomb of cloth is in the booklet, in the big booklet is page 19. Page 19. 19. No, I don't understand what you're saying. Ah, okay, well, I have this one that they gave me, and here is page 19. Anyway, it's called The Food of Contemplation. So, when you find it, in which page it is The Food of Contemplation. Page 24 is the normal sotik. No more questions?
Yes, one. So you are saying that eventually in the sotik practice we can skip the first two stages and just go to the pulling up and absorbing the blue.
Well, I just read the practice that is like that.
No, skipping. I mean, just skipping the first two phases. You say, right?
But you go directly. You basically practice the food of contemplation.
Okay.
Since it is structured like this, is always better to go through the stages. But if you really have no time or something extremely essential that you want to do, you find a very essential way. It's not changing something, no, but is working, for example, our circumstances. Sometimes, or some people like very much the practice that very ritual, and some people prefer very essential practice. So if we understand the principle is to integrate in the blue the essence, and remain in the state of contemplation. That is, the first two phases are a preparation for that. So I'm not saying you should skip it. I'm saying that sometimes, if there is no time or something, and you want still to do the practice, the most essential part is the last. No, otherwise people say, Fabio said not to do anything, the first and the second, because then... No, I didn't say that. It's very easy to pick something out. No more? Okay. So, and again, when we do the sotik, also here, the last phase of the sotik. For example, one thing I already told you. Sometimes also when Rinpoche was teaching in some retreat, he was changing air and then remain in contemplation. Sometimes no. So you understand, we are wanting to have some kind of things that is absolute. But also, when you do your own personal retreat, you have a little bit of integrate with your conditions. Somebody has more capacity, somebody has less capacity. So we have to work with the tools that we have. For example, there is an indication of changing air continuously. This is to be sure that some people that don't have much capacity and experience, they don't do a very nice forceful kumbhaka with an impure prana. But if one has capacity and really confident in reality of the capacity because correspond to the experience, you don't necessarily have to change air all the time. No? If we, for example, as is supposed to be, if somebody really wants to develop capacity, apply really the practice of the rhythmic breathing, if you are able to hold for 2 minutes You stay 2 minutes. If you feel confident and know how to breathe on top and continue, if you have that capacity and want to apply it, so you have the capacity, why you didn't want to apply it, for example. Important that you are not going beyond your capacity and force. But if you have a capacity, you have a capacity. So when we have a capacity, it's better that we apply that capacity. Because, again, if a practice is to integrate in life, among other things, other method practice we practice, and the attempt we have of being mindful, in being aware and present and aware in our life and so on, so apply all the aspect of the teaching in the normal life. But if we dedicate something to the practice in a personal retreat, then is the focus on something. And so, if you, when Rinpoche is saying in the Santima Sangha base, for the 7 Lojong, for example, that at least you should practice diligently, day and night, for at least a month, or maybe at least 2 weeks. At the best, at least, I don't remember well, 1 week or 10 days. Diligently, day and night. So we have a little to understand this aspect, no? The reality and normal life, and the moment you decide to do a retreat of different kinds. You do retreat 3 tunes, 4 tunes, 5 tunes. But if you are really able, it will be 1 tune. That's not my words. I just repeat what I heard. So, that is the point. We have to observe ourselves and see what, without giving in to all our doubts and things and that and this, because sometimes becomes an obstacle, sometimes becomes an excuse. We try to do what we can, but one thing that I heard repeating all the time, we have to be active, not passive. Because if we're passive, nothing is happening. If you're waiting that something's come from outside, it's not going to happen. Or maybe we go around looking for blessing, but blessing in theory is also just a cause. But who is nurturing that cause? Somebody else. Somebody else can realize for ourselves. We pay somebody, the proxy, the proxy. We pay the proxy for, and then when he's like, hey, I financed you, now you pull me up. So, we are in charge of our existence and our practice. That is the point. As long as sometimes we wouldn't like that somebody else would be, or some saint or something. But when we receive the transmission, it's up to us. We receive the transmission, we receive the method, we receive this, we receive that. What are we wanting more? Miracles. I say also this for myself. It's not that because to see the others, you have the eyes. To see ourselves, we need a mirror. So, okay, so that is the sotik. First, if we apply gradually, first we concentrate, focusing on the navel, directing down, then with a little volume, and then higher on the ah, and that is a sotik that we have been practicing also these days. Then, for example, the other thing that we explained was the immortal Vajra life. That is a little different. First we sound ah, manifest pure dimension, then bam, manifest Samvaya Yeshe with a couple of light. And then Shri, Guru Prematadin cell manifest in the Kapala. And then again Shri from the Shi potentiality sounds and rays manifest the Bam corals, light color in the Tigle. And then something Bam, from the potentiality of the Bam manifest Jana Dakini surrounded by all the Dakinis of long life. And then Shri Bam with the shooting star, the union of the Dakini, and then all the manifestation is in Yabyum and the sensation of pleasure, and then we integrate in that with the Kumbhaka at a certain point, also just keeping the pull from below and with a long flow of breath on top. The same long flow of breath on top we apply in the Tigla Kajor in the first stage. And then in the second stage, we concentrate on through exhalation, bringing the Tigle that is sitting with in between the Alikali letter or any alphabet representing sound, spilling, become a kind of circle of fire. The Tigle of nectar, white with all the potentiality, is coming up in the central channel, going in the top of the crown chakra, at top of the central channel that is slightly open like Tibetan trumpet. Exhaling slowly and then inhaling is coming back. And that's in the second phase. The third phase, ideally, we have the visualization of the Alikali at the navel with the Tigla at the center. And when we do the Kumbhaka and we time to exhale, remembering that we should exhale slowly, slowly, directly from mouth and nostrils, always. And then the Alikali dissolves into the Tigla that dissolves into the body, spread completely into the body and then fills up all our body, so I suppose also the channels and everything with nectar. And that is the first of the Tsalung we did. The second Tsalung that we did, or the Ram, there is this very, very nice for me way of changing air with the indirect breath. Then with Mandarava, we manifest as Mandarava, and then something Ram. We manifest for Ram, essence of fire, so a red Ram, like vibrating with the potentiality of fire in the four chakras. And then inhaling roughly, we go in Kumbhaka, and with the Kumbhaka, from the Rams manifest heat, waves of heat that expand and fill completely the body, that is a heap of purifying fire. And then, when we still have a little bit of autonomy, we sound a long flowing Ram, and all, like, you know, when there is they call it a scene and they whoop, comes back. How is it called? No, sometimes they show a scene on a film. One is walking, rewind, yes. It kind of rewind this visualization, and the fire is coming back into the three channels. And that's the first phase. The second phase is the same changing air. First we sound ah in the first phase, and so on and so on. The second phase we don't need necessarily to again manifest sounding I, manifest Mandarava. So exactly the same. Then we sound the Ram and are present in the Rams in the four chakras with the burning potentiality of fire. And then we go in Kumbhaka, and again, the Ram fills completely the body. There's a heap of fire. But this time, instead of recollecting inside the channels is spreading outside and burning and purifying all. That is what we did. A very quick recollection of what we did. It's not so complicated, no? Okay, now we have a 5 or 10 minutes break. And then if there is more questions, Carlos is desperate. Desesperado. Okay, cut the audio. The audio. wine or half a liter of beer or something. And but one thing also I wanted to say about the kumbhaka, there are also two things of our life that when are bound to happen and we have the need of doing are not really in a good relationship with the kumbhaka. When you have to go to the bathroom, not to wash the hands in the sense washing the hands, but in the sense to do it the local or the international phone call, then is the moment where maybe you don't want to try to apply the kumbhaka. First, you do your phone call, whatever it is, and then you can do it again. I hope the analogy is not so secret. No questions? Okay, so then we practice. Yes, of course. This also, when this in general in yoga, they say that when is the time that women are, just kidding. Otherwise they crucify me. No, ma, that moment that you know that you have and we don't, at least not in that form, also there is not a good moment. In my understanding, also in the yoga tradition that I know, is not a good moment of doing. But I don't think there is any limitation for the real Parlun. Because the real Parlun is perception, is presence. There is nothing to really activate even not so strongly, no, because it's pure perception. So in that case, I don't think there is a limitation. Okay, then we do. Also, of course, if somebody has some kind of surgery or some kind of things, but I think that things are almost, when a normal one person thinks and we should know our condition and know when it's not case to force in certain ways. For example, if you have a very strong problem in the stomach, maybe you want to understand why you have it, and maybe it's better that you try to resolve this problem, because we know that if we do the kumbhaka not really correctly, we can create some problem, for example, with digestion. If you force too much in the wrong way. So if you already have it, maybe in this case it's better to find a way to treat it or something before slowly, gently returning to practice the kumbhaka. Parlun not only is not a problem, Parlun is a cure. That is also Rinpoche said. If there is sometimes this kind of problem, the cure is Parlun. Can be helpful to cure that. If I remember well. But even if I'm not remembering well, surely is not contributing to creating the problem. Okay, so we do the Tigle Kajor and the Ram. We do it slowly. And that after. Because if you do both, maybe yes, it's possible. Actually, it's not like this, eh? And because if you do like this, then you close the shoulder blade. It's like this. It's actually above the legs. Above the legs. So unless you open your legs like this, it's not like this. It's above the legs. I read again. Sit with the sole of the feet together and the Vajra fist on the knees. Then inhaling quickly and wrathfully, bring the fist quickly to the chest, the center of the chest. Exhaling in the same way, quickly flying your arms and legs open. Yes, and always we did it like this, above. Okay? So, slow, yantra style. A, Mandarava, hola, 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 hola. Ma I'm doing the ram. Ma no, Andrico. First we do the Tigle Cajor. Ma dai, ma non fare così, Andrico. Subito vuoi fare il cattivo. Sorry. I was into this and... No. First we do the Tigle Cajor. Okay. So, first we focus on the alicali spinning around the tigle. That is the first phase that we apply. And when we do this tigle spinning around, then what we try to do is basically what we are trying to do is to remain pulling from below, and actually the text is saying strongly, but not necessarily. If there is not that capacity, you don't try to force. We don't try to force. That's why we have put as an indication that first we do a little relaxed kumbhaka, so we can get a little comfortable with that. But it is important that it's relaxed. The upper air should be relaxed. Really relax the upper air. Because then, when you let go the control, strong control from below, and only keep the control from the side, as I said, if you are able to pull in the sides a little bit, then you can balance. You should not doing this, because if you do this, you end up, so the upper air should be relaxed and controlled from below, and long and smooth, breathe on top. That is the first phase. The second phase, we do the same, but now, when we are in Kumbhaka, now there is no the indication of breathing on top. Now is the Kumbhaka. Is the Kumbhaka, and when is the moment that we have to exhale, not when we need to exhale or no. We should balance and feel when is the moment that you have been concretely in Kumbhaka, but you need to have the autonomy to be able to increase the volume while exhaling and sending the tigle up to the crown of the head. As we said when you explained, maybe in that moment, because there are indications that would be corresponding also to that, when we arrive, then also we cannot just pure thinking. There should be some kind of experience that this is happening. And then we remain a little in empty hold. And then we'll exhale, and the tigle is moving back at the heart, inside the alikali. This is the second phase. The third phase, all alikali and nectar can stay here if you feel more comfortable, but Rinpoche's advice was to visualize at the navel chakra, the tigle and the alikali. We do the same, inhale, long and smooth from nostrils and mouth, and then we go in Kumbhaka, and then we pull up, that is the Kumbhaka, and then when it's time to exhale, but not the exhale, because exhale like this, you cannot really apply the method correctly. But when it's time to exhale in the sense that you already know that you need some possibility of a nice exhalation because there is visualization and everything. So you keep yourself this autonomy in exhaling, and then when you start exhaling, strongly pull up more, and then the alikali dissolves into the tigle, and the tigle dissolves into the body. And then we can remain a moment in that experience. That is the last phase, okay? It's clear? First phase, breathing on top. Second phase, pulling up the tigle to the top of the head. Third phase, navel, alikali dissolving, the tigle dissolving in the body. Okay? So now, again, we take the training and pressure by means of unified tigle, part 1. How to generate the experience of pleasure. Change that 3 times. Normally, then sounding I, refresh the presence of Mandarava, and if you read the text, it's not like this. The visualization of the alikali and the tigle is done, doesn't matter. like this is somehow easier, okay? In this phase, we already visualize that there is the tigle and the alicali spinning around. And I read, sounding R refresh the visualization of Mandarava with the three main channels, and at the heart chakra visualize the white luminous tigle on a sun and moon disk. Here is only the tigle. Inhaling slowly and smoothly through both nose and mouth, press down the upper air, pull up the lower air by tightening well from below. And leave the upper air relaxed. Breathe with a slow, long flow. Remain with this presence of the tigle, and when the visualization of the tigle is clear and stable, visualize also the red alicali turning anticlockwise around the tigle, etc. When it's time to exhale, change air 3 times with both nose and mouth. Okay, so we do it like this. We just have the presence of the tigle, and then the alicali when there is more stabilized. That, and the alicali is spinning around the tigle. And then we change air and repeat the sequence. Okay, ready? So we're doing Kumbhaka. And when we feel the presence of the tigle, we have the alicali spinning around. And then we can relax the control from above, maintain the control from below, and smooth and long flow we breathe. Remaining concentrated on the alicali spinning around the tigle, faster and faster, until it's just a really circle of fire. But we know it's representing the alphabet, representing sound. And always we breathe from nostrils and mouth together. Remain a moment in the experience, relaxing. Change air. We cannot do 3 times because we don't have time. Now is the sending while exhaling up. stabilizing the experience of pleasure. In this case, we can do, and refresh Mandarava doesn't have any kind of end moment. And now we have already also the Alikali around. Then, after exhaling well, we inhale, nostrils and mouth. Go in Kumbhaka. Focus well on the Tigle and the Alikali on the center of the chakra of the heart. Of course, we have the presence of the three channels. And so, while now intensifying the volume in the phase of exhalation, we send the Tigle up the central channel to the top of the crown. We can remain a moment there in a relaxed, empty hold. Coming back down. We remain a moment in the experience. So sorry if I interrupt a moment to say something. When we send up the Tigle, we are doing, as usual, exhaling with mouth and nostrils together. But there is not, as I said many times before, an indication if there is a predominant mouth or a predominant nostrils. So, since here is saying to send up the Tigle slowly, so of course the exhalation need to be a little long. So I think you have to see how is working for you. If balancing the mouth and the 50-50, or favoring eventually a little more the nostrils, give you a little more control, because it's not indirect, but still mouth and nostril might have some different qualities. So you see this proportion somehow how it works well for you. Okay. The same thing in the next one, because it's always contracting stronger the volume, and what all that is happening with the exhalation, and eventually a pause after that we can remain a little. Let's change air. Okay, now refresh Mandarava. And now there is the Tigle and the Alikali, but is at the navel chakra. Kumaka. Focusing on the Alikali and the Tigla, the navel chakra. When it's time to exhale, you pull a little stronger, and with this, the Alikali dissolving, the Tigla is dissolving. Exhaling, long. And remain a moment in the experience. Okay, now we are ready for the Ram. So chill. Now we have this phase to visualize the four Ram in the four chakras, and then in Kumbhaka we spread. The essence of fire fills the body, and then at a certain point when we feel we are ready to exhale, sounding long, slow Ram, all the fire is recollecting in the three channels. The next phase is the same, but the fire will be spreading, all purifying, all. Okay? Now sounding Ram, we visualize. And my advice is to use the Ram really with the sound we can exhale very, very, very thoroughly. And then we inhale roughly, but not like the sotik. It's slower, but it's control, indirect. And always from below. Kumbhaka, the fire spreading from the rams in the chakras. All the body is a heap of fire, of heat. The fire is coming back and collecting to the channels. We remain a moment in the experience. We change air. And now the fire, the essence of fire is spreading like before. All the body is spreading a heap of fire. And now when it's time to exhale, while exhaling with the long soft ram, all the heat and the fire, the potentiality is spreading around and purifying all the vision. Okay? You want to do one more? Okay. So, there is any question?
First and second phase of First and second phase, please explain again. Thank you.
What?
First and second phase, please.
First and second phase of what?
I don't know. I don't know.
We have first and second phase in both that we did. If it's the RAM, the first phase is the RAM will spread and the body is full of the potentiality of the essence of fire when you are in Kumbhaka, and when you exhale, is collecting back in the three channels.
Fabio.
The second phase is the same, but when the body is full of this potentiality of fire, when the soft sound of Ram are spreading outside and purify all. That is the difference. Once is collecting back in the three channels, in the second phase is spreading.
That question was related to Tile Kaljor.
Okay. First and second. The first one basically is to establish concretely the presence and the action of the alikali spinning around the tigle. Because second and third phase, you need that presence. Okay? The second phase is when pulling up, we send the tigle up to the crown chakra, to the top of the central channel.
During the second phase of Tigli Kajor, during the inhalation when the Tigli returns to the chest, we still maintain Kumbhaka, correct?
No, but there is the volume strongly. So, in a sense, could be almost yes, but when we exhale, is no more Kumbhaka. Because when we exhale, the Kumbhaka is that you hold, but there is volume. Actually, there is a strong volume, but we are exhaling.
Okay, dear Fabio, in the first part of the Tigli Kajor, at the B, before the Kumbhaka, we visualize only Tigle or the Ali Kali too?
Okay, how it is coordinated here in the first phase, we start visualizing the Tigle, and then the Ali Kali after. This is structured like this. I read again. Sounding A, refresh Mandarava visualization with blue. That is by sounding A, refresh the visualization of Mandarava with the three main channels at the heart chakra. Visualize a white luminous tigle on a sun and moon disk. Then, inhale slowly and smoothly to both nose and mouth. Press down the upper air, pull up the lower air by tightening well from below, and leave the upper air relaxed. Breathe with a slow, long flow. Remain with the presence of the tigle, and when the visualization of the tigle is clear and stable, visualize also the red alikali turning anti-clockwise around the tigle. But as I said, I do like this in a sense that in the beginning, to be sure that you have the control from below, generally I give the advice to do a little bit of Kumbhaka to also get control from below, and be sure that the air has been brought down, but the upper air should be down, but at the same time relaxed, not forced. It means that you really have control below. But then, with the precise thing that we have to do is just control from below and breathe on top. I already told you that for a long time we didn't do it just in Kumbhaka, because that was in some commentary and things there was. But then the last time, because Rinpoche did it in another way, I went to ask, and then when he told me, the commentary is important, but the root text is more important. And the root text is like this. So that's why it is like this. Others? Others?
When the heat returns to the channels and when it spreads from the second time, do we maintain Kumbhaka, Ram Tsalung? When do we release?
When sounding Ram, we release the Kumbhaka. Yeah. First we are in Kumbhaka, and with the potential of the Kumbhaka, from the Ram in the 4 chakras, fire, essence of fire, and the power of fire is expanding and filling completely our body, our dimension. And then, slow sounding a slow, long Ram, this fire is just going. So while exhaling, when you exhale, you cannot be in Kumbhaka. Kumbhaka is Tinlung Wolung. If it is not close from above and from below, is not Kumbhaka. If you only control from below and we exhaling, it's not Kumbhaka. It's not called Kumbhaka. What can I say?
I don't know if for Fabio, but where can I buy PDF version of Mandarava Tsalung Practices book you're reading?
What?
Where can the people buy the PDF version of the Mandarava Tsalung Practices?
I don't know, because supposedly Sebastian sent it.
But the book, the big book.
This one?
Yes.
This one, I don't know. Try the Sanjung editions.
Shangshung, probably.
The restricted section of the books.
Okay, one more. Always when Fabio say, relax in the experience and open the eyes, the Kumbhaka is no more, correct?
If it's at the end that we released, yes. That's you are no more in Kumbhaka. Finished? Okay. Then we say, well, just to finish this time, we sing the song of the Vajra. Because it's the end. Ema kire kire Mashavali vali Samita suro suro Kutali masu masu Ekara sulibataye Chikira bulibataye Samunta Acharya Sungaya Bhetasana Bhikulaye Sakari Dukana Matari Vaitana Paralisana Makarata Kelanam Samvarata Mekachantapa Surya Bhatarepa Shanaba Ranabite Sangoralapa Mazmin Sangulitayaba Gurangura Sagakarnalam Naranara Itarapatalam Sirana Sirana Pesaraspalam Bondha Bondha Chishasakelam Sasa Re Re Le Le Me Ra 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 On dare dare ben dare swaha Jaya Jaya Siddhi Siddhi Phala Phala Aha Sha Sama Mamankolin Saminta. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you everyone. Thank you everyone. Thank you Ganji. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody.
Fabio.
Thank you.
Dear Fabio, we are very grateful to you for offering your time and your knowledge to the benefit of all of us through this wonderful practice retreat, which began during the 4th Tibetan month, a time when practicing Mandarava is much more effective. Please accept this small token of appreciation for your incomparable dedication. From Tsalungs.
Massage? Un massaggio per te, eccolo, lo sapevo. No, io l'offerta non la voglio.
No, va bene? Okay.
No, quando insegno cose che non sono relative tu yantra, io non posso.
Va bene.
Solamente per cortesia, siccome i primi 2 giorni ho praticamente spiegato un po' il Kumbhaka, accetto qualche cosa per quello che però darò in donazione a chi ho pensato di dare. Quindi se volete darmi qualcosa, datemi qualcosa relativo ai primi 2 giorni e poi io ho già deciso a chi la darò come donazione. Ok. Ok. No, io decido.
No,
Ok, no, sì, non ti preoccupare, dopo va bene. Ok, grazie. Grazie. Ok, bye bye everyone. We finish. Yuhu. Però mi porto a casa l'acqua di cocco.